This weekend was the Arnold South America, which takes place in Brazil, and I'm bringing it to you in today's video. With this, we're done with the 3 Arnolds, Ohio, the UK, and the one in today's video. We'll look at open bodybuilding and classic physique. Several interesting things have happened. Let's start with the open category, where Blessing Abodibu thought he was going to win. As always, he's always his biggest fan. That's fine though. People also had some expectations for him, but once again he has disappointed. He ended up in 3rd place, taking another hard hit. I guess he won't be going to the Olympia this year. The first thing worth mentioning is how destroyed his midsection is. It's curious because in some poses, like the front double biceps pose, or even when he poses from the side, he kind of sucks his waist in, does a partial vacuum, and hides it. But during the transitions, his waist gets distended, and not only does it get distended, that's the least of it, but he also has protruding obliques that can even look unpleasant. I've been reading comments saying it's growth hormone abuse, that it's insulin. I don't really think it's about that. I think he just has genetics for obliques like that. They're very prominent, they stick out a lot, and they look pretty bad in the poses. And this is the cursed muscle. If you work your obliques too much, you lose. I want to show you these shots from the transitions, where you can see those lumps on the sides that look so unpleasant, which give him that ugly shape and ruin his whole aesthetic. This definitely has to have an impact. Judges don't just focus on your pose, they also evaluate your transitions and everything that happens on stage. In Blessing's case, he would have to be doing a vacuum, a constant abdominal vacuum to avoid this, and I guess that's not really feasible. I wonder how he can fix it. Lowering doses, losing weight, doing more abdominal control. I just don't see it as viable. I've been saying for years that I don't see a future for him in bodybuilding, beyond getting some good placements in pro shows. I doubt he'll win, and if he does, I still expect him to place last at the Olympia like before. And then there's his conditioning. He looked like he was just guest posing. Blessing's best conditioning is like some people's off-season. I think that could definitely be improved as well. Let's move on to 2nd place briefly. Wellington Bautista took it, and he didn't come out bigger than Blessing. He didn't look massive at all either, but he did have better conditioning. And of course, he looked a lot more aesthetic. He doesn't have that abdominal issue that Blessing does. On the contrary, his abs are much tighter and more controlled. So yes, I agree he should be ahead of Blessing. He definitely deserves 2nd place. And now let's talk about the 1st place, because it was surprising. It was Leandro Pérez. I think this bodybuilder has brought his best package to date. Pretty big legs. His midsection was controlled, even if it isn't the tightest. Pretty big. The arms, good chest. Overall, a good combination of muscle mass and definition. He came out defined and massive. He stood out as the best, offering the most complete package among the competition. That's another thing we should discuss. It was a pretty low level, except for 1st and 2nd place. I would even say just the 1st place. There was Leandro Pérez, okay? Great. A very respectable professional open bodybuilder. And the rest, well, they looked like amateurs. If you want, there's Wellington. But honestly, after Blessing, there just wasn't much quality. 10 competitors, an open pro show. And it's not just any pro show. It's an Arnold Classic, South America. I expected a higher level. If Woodbedo had competed as before, he would have won easily. Or if Brandao had competed, I just don't get him. He enters the toughest competitions and comes in looking bad. And when he has an easy competition at home, he says, oh well, I won't show up. Okay, Brandao. Let's move on to classic physique, a category where the same thing happened. There were 13 guys. Okay, in 1st place was Livigno, the winner. Perfect. A very high level. I'm going to analyze it now. But the rest, wow, I don't know anyone. Livinho stood out with an amazing level, while the others were in a different league. Livinho was like, come on, give me some real competition. Did I just come here to stroll around? Well, let's talk about Livinho. I have to say quite a few good things about this bodybuilder. He has a spectacular shape, an incredible structure. In fact, he resembles Keon Pearson a bit. I don't know if you think so too, with that huge rib cage, those pumped legs and that slim waist. From the front, from the back, even from the side, he looks quite a lot like Keon. The quadriceps are impressive. The arms are also very good. He has good biceps and forearms too. The back is also quite good. The chest, overall, he's a well-rounded bodybuilder. I have to say I've seen something I really didn't like. It's his abdomen. When it's time to do the abs and legs pose, he does this kind of weird thing where he doesn't flex his abs, he distorts them, and it looks terrible. And I understand that this is a posing problem, because then in other poses his abs do show, so he does have them. And his abs aren't bad, but for some reason he doesn't know how to contract them in that pose, and that specific pose gets ruined for him. I know for a fact that he was pretty close to the weight limit, or at the limit. At least 3 weeks before the competition, he was 4.5 kilos over, already pretty lean. In fact, he came in with good definition and was going back and forth as he was preparing like, should I compete in classic or in the 212? He's a short bodybuilder, pretty heavy, close to the weight limit. And maybe he'll do what Keon did, follow the same steps, compete a bit in classic and then end up moving to the 212. Well, he won the competition easily, without any difficulty. And there was still another pro show this weekend that I want to show you. If the Arnold South America had a weak lineup, let's talk about the 2026 Oksana Grishina Pro. What is that? It's held in Moscow and there were only 6 competitors. The usual. Well, I finished 6th in a professional bodybuilding competition. A very tough lineup. There were 6. The winner was Vitaly Omelchenko. And sure, it's good to be the best out of those 6, but he could easily come in last at the Mr. Olympia. That's why I say that if competitors have the means, if they have the necessary finances to travel to these places and compete in these maybe not so famous competitions, they pretty much have their qualification for the Olympia almost guaranteed. Anyway, these were the competitions from the weekend. The next ones coming up are much bigger, soon Pittsburgh and New York. Remember to check yesterday's news. A bunch of topics condensed into 8 minutes. That's it for today. Ares with Culturismo signing off. See you next time.